proposed changes discussed aim to clarify the distinction between equipment bonding and system grounding by firstly replacing grounding with bonding in references to equipment grounding, and secondly creating separate code articles for equipment bonding and system grounding. The NEC, National Electrical Code, has not accepted these proposed changes for several reasons, one of which is that grounding and bonding are closely related concepts. The NEC considers equipment grounding and system grounding to be interconnected systems that work together to ensure electrical safety. There's also historical precedent where the terms grounding and bonding have been used in the NEC for decades. Changing the terminology now could create confusion and undermine the established understanding of electrical systems. This also leads into consistency with other standards where the NEC aligns with other electrical standards, such as the National Electrical Safety Code, also known as NEC, which also uses the terms grounding and bonding. Then there are safety concerns. The NEC believes that the current terminology helps prevent electrical hazards by clearly distinguishing between grounding, which provides a low resistance path to earth, and bonding, which connects different parts of a system together. There are additional considerations such as training and education. Changing the terminology could require extensive training and education for electricians and other professionals. Code interpretation is also important, where modifying the NEC could lead to different interpretations of the code, increasing the risk of misapplication. Cost and time are also factors where revising the NEC is a complex and time-consuming process that requires careful consideration and input from various stakeholders. In summary, the NEC continued use of the terms grounding and bonding reflects its commitment to maintaining consistency, ensuring safety, and accommodating the existing electrical infrastructure and professional training. Electrical grounding and bonding are fundamental concepts in electrical safety, and it's essential to understand their roles within an electrical system. Grounding refers to the connection of electrical equipment and systems to the earth. This connection provides a low impedance path for fault currents to flow back to the source, allowing overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers or fuses, to quickly trip and de-energize the circuit in the event of a fault. System grounding involves grounding the neutral point of a power system, such as the neutral of a transformer or generator. This provides a stable reference point for the system voltage and helps to limit voltage surges and transient overvoltages. Equipment grounding, on the other hand, involves grounding the non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment, such as enclosures, raceways, and motor frames. This ensures that these metal parts are at or near ground potential, reducing the risk of electric shock if a fault occurs. Bonding refers to the connection of different metal parts of an electrical system together to create a continuous electrical path. Bonding helps to equalize the voltage potential between different metal parts, reducing the risk of electric shock and providing a low impedance path for fault currents to flow. Bonding is typically achieved by connecting metal raceways, enclosures, and equipment frames together using bonding jumpers or conductors. The main bonding jumper is a critical component of the grounding system. It connects the equipment grounding conductor to the grounded conductor, typically the neutral, at the service entrance. This connection ensures that fault currents can flow back to the source and trip the overcurrent protection device. The equipment grounding conductor, also known as the grounding wire, provides a path for fault currents to flow from electrical equipment back to the source. It is typically a green or bare copper wire that is run along with the circuit conductors. The size of the equipment grounding conductor is determined by the size of the overcurrent protection device protecting the circuit, according to NEC Table 250.122. Grounding electrodes are used to connect the grounding system to the earth. Common types of grounding electrodes include ground rods, ground plates, and underground metal water pipes. The grounding electrode system must meet specific requirements outlined in the NEC, including minimum size and installation depth. Ground fault circuit interrupters, also known as GFCIs, are devices that protect against electrical shock by detecting ground faults. A ground fault occurs when current leaks from a circuit to ground, such as when a person comes into contact with a live wire and a grounded object. GFCIs quickly interrupt the circuit when a ground fault is detected, preventing electrical shock. Arc fault circuit interrupters, also known as FSIs, are devices that protect against fires caused by arcing faults. Arcing faults occur when electricity jumps between conductors or between a conductor and ground, creating heat that can ignite nearby materials. FSIs detect the unique characteristics of arcing faults and interrupt the circuit, preventing fires. Surge protective devices, also known as SPD, protect electrical equipment from voltage surges, such as those caused by lightning or power line disturbances. SPD divert the surge current to ground, preventing it from damaging sensitive electronic equipment. Proper grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety. These practices help to reduce the risk of electric shock, fire, and equipment damage. The NEC provides detailed requirements for grounding and bonding to ensure that electrical systems are installed and maintained safely. The NEC, or National Electrical Code, is a set of standards and guidelines for the safe installation of electrical wiring and equipment in the United States. It is developed and published by the National Fire Protection Association, also known as NFPA, and is updated every 3 years. The NEC covers a wide range of topics related to electrical safety, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding and bonding, and equipment installation. It is widely adopted by states and municipalities as the basis for their electrical codes. Understanding the NEC is essential for electricians, electrical contractors, and anyone involved in the design, installation, or maintenance of electrical systems. The NEC provides detailed requirements for ensuring that electrical systems are safe and reliable. Article 250 of the NEC covers grounding and bonding. This article provides comprehensive requirements for grounding electrical systems, equipment, and enclosures. It covers topics such as grounding electrode systems, equipment, grounding conductors, bonding jumpers, and ground fault protection. Understanding Article 250 is essential for ensuring that electrical systems are properly grounded and bonded. When working with electrical systems, it is important to follow safe work practices. Always to energize circuits before working on them and use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses. If you are not qualified to work on electrical systems, hire a licensed electrician. The size of the equipment grounding conductor is determined by the size of the overcurrent protection device protecting the circuit according to NEC Table 250.122. For example, if a circuit is protected by a 20 amp circuit breaker, the minimum size of the equipment grounding conductor is 12 American wire gauge, also known as AWG copper. If a circuit is protected by a 60 amp circuit breaker, the minimum size of the equipment grounding conductor is 10 AWG copper. Bonding jumpers are used to connect different metal parts of an electrical system together to create a continuous electrical path. The size of the bonding jumper is determined by the size of the largest ungrounded conductor in the circuit according to NEC Table 250.102. For example, if the largest ungrounded conductor in a circuit is 4 AWG copper, the minimum size of the bonding jumper is 8 AWG copper. Grounding electrodes are used to connect the grounding system to the earth. The NEC requires that grounding electrodes have a resistance to ground of 25 ohms or less. If the resistance to ground is greater than 25 ohms, an additional grounding electrode must be installed. Common types of grounding electrodes include ground rods, ground plates, and underground metal water pipes. Ground rods must be at least 8 feet long and must be driven into the ground at least 8 feet apart. Ground plates must be at least 2 square feet in area and must be buried at least 30 inches deep. Underground metal water pipes can be used as grounding electrodes if they are in direct contact with the earth for at least 10 feet. Ground fault circuit interrupters, also known as GFCIs, are required in certain locations to protect against electrical shock. The NEC requires GFCIs in bathrooms, kitchens, garages, and outdoor areas. GFCIs are designed to detect ground faults and interrupt the circuit, preventing electrical shock. Arc fault circuit interrupters, also known as FSIs, are required in certain locations to protect against fires caused by arcing faults. The NEC requires FSIs in bedrooms and other areas where arcing faults are likely to occur. SIs are designed to detect arcing faults and interrupt the circuit, preventing fires. Surge protective devices, also known as SPD, are used to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges. SPD are typically installed at the service entrance to protect the entire electrical system. SPD divert the surge current to ground, preventing it from damaging sensitive electronic equipment. The NEC provides detailed requirements for the installation of SPD. These requirements cover topics such as SPD location, wiring methods, and grounding. Proper grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety. By following the requirements of the NEC, you can ensure that electrical systems are installed and maintained safely. This helps to reduce the risk of electric shock, fire, and equipment damage. Always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions about grounding and bonding. System grounding is crucial for maintaining a stable and safe electrical distribution network. By connecting the neutral point of a power system to the earth, a reference point is established that helps control voltage fluctuations and prevent overvoltages. This is particularly important in three-phase systems where imbalanced loads can cause voltage imbalances if the neutral is not properly grounded. Furthermore, system grounding provides a low impedance path for fault currents, allowing protective devices to quickly detect and clear ground faults, minimizing the risk of equipment damage and electrical hazards. Equipment grounding, on the other hand, focuses on protecting individuals from electric shock by ensuring that non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment are at or near ground potential. This is achieved by connecting these metal parts to the grounding system, providing a path for fault currents to flow back to the source. In the event of an insulation failure or other fault condition, the fault current will flow through the equipment grounding conductor, tripping the overcurrent protection device and energizing the circuit, preventing a dangerous shock hazard. Bonding plays a vital role in creating a safe and effective grounding system. By connecting all metal parts of an electrical system together, bonding ensures that there are no voltage differences between these parts. This eliminates the risk of electric shock if a person comes into contact with two metal parts that are at different potentials. Bonding also provides a low impedance path for fault currents, helping to facilitate the operation of overcurrent protection devices. The main bonding jumper is a critical component that connects the equipment grounding system to the grounded conductor, typically the neutral, at the service entrance. This connection ensures that fault currents can flow back to the source and trip the overcurrent protection device. The size of the main bonding jumper is determined by the size of the service entrance conductors, as specified in the NEC. Grounding electrodes are used to establish a connection between the grounding system and the earth. This connection provides a path for fault currents to dissipate into the earth, helping to stabilize the system voltage and prevent overvoltages. Common types of grounding electrodes include ground rods, ground plates, and underground metal water pipes. The NEC specifies the minimum requirements for grounding electrodes, including their size, material, and insulation depth. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are life-saving devices that protect against electric shock by detecting ground faults. A ground fault occurs when current leaks from a circuit to ground, such as when a person comes into contact with a live wire and a grounded object. GFCIs quickly interrupt the circuit when a ground fault is detected, preventing a dangerous shock. GFCIs are required in areas where there is a high risk of electric shock, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor locations. Arc fault circuit interrupters, or SIs, are designed to protect against fires caused by arcing faults. Arcing faults occur when electricity jumps between conductors or between a conductor and ground, creating heat that can ignite nearby materials. SIs detect the unique characteristics of arcing faults and interrupt the circuit, preventing fires. SIs are required in bedrooms and other areas where there is a high risk of fire. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, protect electrical equipment from voltage surges such as those caused by lightning or power line disturbances. SPD divert the surge current to ground, preventing it from damaging sensitive electronic equipment. SPD are typically installed at the service entrance to protect the entire electrical system. The NEC, or National Electrical Code, is the primary standard for electrical safety in the United States. It provides detailed requirements for the installation of electrical wiring and equipment to ensure that electrical systems are safe and reliable. The NEC is updated every 3 years to reflect the latest advancements in electrical technology and safety practices. Understanding and following the NEC is essential for anyone involved in the design, installation, or maintenance of electrical systems. The NEC is organized into chapters, articles, and sections, covering a wide range of topics related to electrical safety. Chapter 1 of the NEC provides general requirements for electrical installations, including definitions, wiring methods, and overcurrent protection. Chapter 2 covers wiring and protection, including requirements for conductors, cables, and raceways. Chapter 3 addresses wiring methods and materials, including requirements for conduit, boxes, and fittings. Chapter 4 covers equipment for general use, including requirements for appliances, motors, and transformers. Chapter 5 addresses special occupancies, including requirements for hazardous locations, healthcare facilities, and recreational vehicles. Chapter 6 covers special equipment, including requirements for electric signs, elevators, and welders. Chapter 7 addresses special conditions, including requirements for emergency systems, fire alarm systems, and communications systems. Chapter 8 covers communications systems, including requirements for telephone, data, and cable television systems. Chapter 9 contains tables and examples that supplement the requirements in the other chapters. The NEC is a complex and comprehensive document, but it is essential for ensuring electrical safety. By following the requirements of the NEC, you can help to prevent electric shock, fire, and equipment damage. Always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions about the NEC or electrical safety. Electrical safety is paramount in any electrical installation or maintenance activity. It involves adhering to established codes and standards, employing appropriate safety measures, and utilizing personal protective equipment. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, serves as the cornerstone for electrical safety in the United States, providing comprehensive guidelines for the safe installation and maintenance of electrical systems. Grounding and bonding play a critical role in electrical safety, ensuring that electrical equipment and systems are properly connected to the earth and that all metal parts are at or near ground potential. This helps to minimize the risk of electric shock and fire. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is essential for protecting workers from electrical hazards. PPE includes items such as gloves, safety glasses, and arc-rated clothing. Gloves protect against electric shock, safety glasses protect against eye injuries, and arc-rated clothing protects against burns from arc flashes. Lockout/tagout procedures are used to energize electrical equipment before work is performed. This prevents accidental energization of the equipment, which could result in electric shock or other injuries. Safe work practices are essential for preventing electrical accidents. These practices include maintaining a safe distance from energized equipment, using insulated tools, and avoiding working in wet conditions. Regular inspections and maintenance are crucial for ensuring that electrical systems are safe and reliable. This includes checking for damaged wiring, loose connections, and other potential hazards. Electrical safety training is essential for all workers who may be exposed to electrical hazards. This training should cover topics such as grounding and bonding, personal protective equipment, lockout/tagout procedures, and safe work practices. By following these electrical safety tips, you can help to prevent electrical accidents and ensure a safe working environment. Always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions about electrical safety.